the spices for the cupcakes. Weigh the anchor. Avast me hearties, that Columbus feller over yonder has a treasure trove of spices. It's time to plunder the booty. Aye, Captain, let's do this. After all, it's in the pirate's nature to plunder the booty. Captain, think twice before you steal those spices. Honesty is the best policy. But he stole America, so I can steal his cinnamon. I need it for these spicy cupcakes we're baking. 2 wrongs don't make a right. You'd be right, Frida. Lower the anchor. We won't be plundering those spices today, me hearties. Here, Columbus, I'll be paying you for your cinnamon booty. Columbus charged me an arm and a leg for those spices, but I got the cinnamon. Well, Captain, at least we didn't lose our integrity. Yay! And preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I put a little bit of rice in the bottoms of my cupcake pans when I use paper linings. The rice will absorb any butter or oil instead of letting it soak into the bottom of the cupcake. Little genius tip, huh? Then cream together 1/2 cup of unsalted butter at room temperature and 1/4 cup of sugar. It'll get light and fluffy in about 5 minutes. And scrape down the bowl to make sure you're getting everything fluffed together. Look how fluffy it looks already, and we're only halfway through. Add in a whole cup of molasses, and the trick is to grease your measuring cup before pouring in the molasses. See how the molasses easily pours out and doesn't stick to the cup? Another little genius tip. Mix that all together and add 3 yolks one at a time. We're living a little vicariously here by not separating them outside the bowl, but it's not that critical if a yolk bursts. And see how the eggs are in the bowl of lukewarm water? That's the easiest way to bring your eggs to room temperature. If the eggs are not at room temperature, they can cool the butter, which can make the butter clump back up. And that's not good. Now, in a separate bowl, sift together all your dry ingredients. That's 2 cups of cake flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of mace, or you can use nutmeg instead, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. Give that a mix around and sift it to get out any lumps. It also makes a finer crumb for your cupcakes. Now, alternate in your dry ingredients with 1/2 cup of milk. Pour in about 1/4 of the dry, mix it in, scrape down your bowl to help it along, add 1/2 the milk and 1/2 of the remaining dry, 1/2 the milk and the rest of the dry. There's so little batter that it's easy to overmix it, and overmixing it will make it tough like day-old bread. Big me here is finishing it by hand just to make sure. Fold in 1/2 cup of pecans and 1/2 cup of raisins. 2 little scoops per cup distributes it evenly. This batch makes exactly 2 dozen. Exactly. And bake for 18 to 20 minutes until a toothpick comes out clean. So while our cupcakes are cooling, let's get started on Marina's favorite frosting. Remember our 3 egg whites? You start with those, and you'll need 7 egg whites total. We here at Val's Looney Kitchen separate them outside the bowl. That way, if a yolk happens to burst, it doesn't ruin the whole batch of 7 egg whites. And I'm using my metal mixer bowl because it doesn't hold onto the heat as much as my glass bowl. And that'll be important in a little bit. Then add 2 cups of brown sugar and pack that cup tight. That's how you measure brown sugar right. And throw in a pinch of kosher salt. Place your bowl over rumbling, boiling water. we're gently heating up the egg whites without making them into scrambled eggs. We want to bring this up to 160 degrees to pasteurize them. This, along with the sugar, will allow this frosting to sit out on the counter for 1 to 2 days after you use it on your cupcakes or your cake. And our cupcakes won't have a chance to dry out in the refrigerator. Refrigerators tend to dry out baked goods, by the way. Look how thick it is. Keep whisking and moving the liquid all around. It'll loosen up a lot. My touchless thermometer comes in handy here, doesn't it? Look, it's ready. Take it off the heat and whisk it to stiff peaks. That'll take about 10 minutes on high speed. And that's stiff peaks. See the mountain peak? And now we just cool it down. Whoa, I'm taking the polar plunge here. You want to cool down the meringue to the same temperature as your butter. For me, that magical number is between 65 and 72. And give it a stir every once in a while. This will take about 20 minutes. This is also a good time to make sure your butter is at room temperature. Chop it up in chunks to help it along. Now, one last temperature check. Yep, throw in a chunk at a time. Throw it in, let it fully whisk in. You can't hurry this process. It's magic. And this is also the part when things often go wrong. It'll deflate and turn a little soupy at first, but it'll eventually come back together. If it's super soupy, almost like liquid after 2 sticks, then your meringue had a hot spot somewhere in there. Put the whole bowl and whisk into the refrigerator to cool it down to that magical number. If it clumps up and looks greasy, then things were too cold. Watch this video here on how to fix that. And here's what it's supposed to look like after half the butter is in. Kind of like soft serve ice cream. And that last chunk, celebrate that. High five! High five! Look at that, Marina. It came along beautifully. We made it, Captain Bread Hook, my friend. And there you go. This is so fun. Leave a comment. I love to read your comments. I have a whole bunch of piping to do. I just love piping. And your comments make my day.